Well, welcome everybody. A time for gathering, collecting, giving a start to this, just settling, allowing a stillness, physically, and a stillness of noticing. A sense of the body, the experience of the body, and the weight of the body, connecting. And the posture, released, and so released upwards and from the chest. An openness and receptivity. And still and undemanding as attention is given. And life received. A breath received in the belly expanding and released, relinquished. And allowed welcomed. and not held, released. And attention is given memory surrendered, expectation allowed and not attached. The attention is given and life is received. In this stillness and this sensitivity, a pausing or a resting, resting, in this welcoming, in this gathering, in this collectedness. And that is giving life to life. alert in this sensitivity that is life. And the gift received. This now, this here, this place, this time. In this knowing. It's just a pause. It's a bit of a contradiction, but I do recommend at the end of a period of formal practice just giving a moment, a minute or two, to lightly review what's happened. Not with a sense of assessing if it's good or bad, more with the appreciation. Oh, it was like this. So that the skipping to the next thing is just inhibited a little while. Just stopped for a moment, allowing the end of something to be known, allowing the edge of it to be unconscious, unconscious. The idea of sitting together quietly and then stopping and then listening to something that might just provoke more ideas. Just pausing a while, and even while listening to the talk, just the attention inwards given. A couple of times this week, or this past fortnight or so, reflecting on what we're doing here in this world as a human being in a monastery, and what a monastery works as, and how a monastery works, and what's it about, what with one thing and another. And, remembering that this what this thing can do, what this life can do, what this community can do, how it can be. And what the first time I think I really spoke about it was when we had a gathering when we first moved in to this main building, and the architect and the engineer and the contractor and some of the people who were laboring were present, and I said, well, what you've built is a generator, and a place where things can be generated. And it's a standard reflection for human beings and for the place of human beings in society to encourage generating generosity, generating a sense of sufficiency, a sense of it's possible to give. And as you appreciate, and it gives people joy to know that the monastery is a place where life can be given, where the people living here and giving their lives, they do it in the faith that there's enough goodness that will be returned, that the generosity will be returned and generated. So the monastics and the people living here can give that. And then they give opportunities for lay people to also, when they're here, give as they work, in a place where lay people do give to support. So there's generosity is generated through the this institution that's run on generosity for 2,500 years or so. And it's a human action that actually human beings depend upon, because humans depend on generosity. You know, the baby depends on the generosity of a parent. And that's a very clear act. And certainly in the very early stages, maybe later the parent feels that, they've made an investment and they want a return. But the first breaths of life, the first things of life, human beings require generosity. And monasteries allow that to be something really conscious. The monastics require generosity, and the monastics themselves, if they work, they work through a system of generosity. If they charge for things, or if they are paid for something in some way, or there's a sense of payback, then it's a little tarnished. I mean, the way that it's mentioned in the Buddha Comes to Sussex, which I've seen so many times, is that the lay people give food and support for the monks, and the monks give the Dhamma and support for the lay people's hearts. And yes, and that can seem like an exchange, but it's actually just an exchange based on generosity, because there isn't a price fixed. It is true also that if what the bhikkhus what the bhikkhus offer is not palatable, they don't have to be supported. But the principle is generosity. And then, as a generator, this is part of it. It's an important part, and generosity is like, as I talk in the introductory into meditation, is about, carries through to how one works in the heart as one gives attention and receives things. But there needs a field of trust. There needs a field of trust. And that basic trust is about virtue. The sense of renouncing that which is harmful or exploitative or indulgent, consciously. And that virtue, we encourage, and the monastic life encourages within the people who live here. It's encouraged within the people who visit here, and it's encouraged for the people who visit here to practice it beyond and in their daily lives. So this gives a sense of trust, because without virtue, without basic virtue, trust is really difficult. Because there needs to be the sense of it's all right. I don't have to, in this present moment, I don't have anything to fear. Somebody's not trying to kill me or steal something from me, exploit me sexually, lying to me, or trying to deceive me. And it's not so out of their mind that I don't really know what they're going to do. So this basic trust, of course, the levels of that, and it's a trust that one gives oneself when one sits quietly in a safe place, and in your meditation room or in your shrine room. For the moment whilst you're sitting, you are keeping the 5 precepts. Maybe not consciously, but you are keeping them. because you're not acting or speaking in ways that are actually harmful or will lead to something that one can mistrust. So allowing that to be, is part of what the monastery is about. It's a generator of virtue. People, when they do come here, on the whole, they do behave well. And that's something that offers that training in safety so that beings can suffer less in the present moment and in the future. Because that's what virtue really supports. That's one of the ways that virtue works. If it works with wisdom, which is what the final thing that Buddhist monastery is about. It's about Buddho. It's about wisdom. It's about understanding. It's about the humility and also the freedom that comes through understanding and cultivating a sense of interest and wanting and investigation. The humility required for investigation with the confidence that it can be done. So the humility is coupled by confidence, balanced by confidence. The saddha and panya are balanced. Saddha is the confidence, and panya is the humility of the wish to understand. Because panya is actually humble. It's a humbling thing, because as everybody knows, the more that one knows, the more that one realizes one doesn't know. It's a way that the world, any sort of field of investigation works. If there's a sense of investigation, there's a recognition. I really don't understand all of it in any field of study. The more that one thinks one knows, the more that one realizes one doesn't know. The more that one realizes the uncertainty of anything. And so, confidence is necessary to get going, and that helps with trust, but balanced by the humility of wisdom and cultivating that. So the bhavana cultivates wisdom, cultivates spiritual qualities, effort, and that go-to attitude of going for it, which needs to be balanced by steadiness and continuity, keeping going. So that's the cultivation of and the strengthening of spiritual faculties. That's what the monastery provides as a generator within the structure that is offered. So this this is what we can reflect upon when we consider, well, what's a monastery? And what's it for? And as a generator of alternative energy is what I can, almost as a joke, but it is not working according to the ordinary ways that the world generates energy, because the world generates energy in a completely different way. It's about gain and loss, pleasure and pain, fame and disrepute, praise and blame. This is the sort of energy that the world generates. And this is alternative energy. So, if it works well, a monastery works like that. And for all of us, the way that the monks in Thailand always talk about, or often talk about, maybe sometimes talk about, but as I have heard talk about, is to build a monastery in the heart. So you have an alternative energy generator, within your own reflective qualities, and this is where mindfulness, which is the balancing faculty, the balancing faculty of the 5 spiritual faculties. The 5 spiritual faculties are faith and effort on one side, and concentration and wisdom on the other, and the balancing one is mindfulness. And the mindfulness is the attention and the care that can be given in each moment, each breath, each here, each now, each time and each place. Reflecting what is happening here and now. This time, this space. The reflecting, gives the time and space a context. Because there's all sorts of things happening in time and space. All sorts of ways that things present themselves, ways that things stand forth, all sorts of things that the attention can go out into and give importance to, likes and dislikes, seeking pleasure, frightened of pain, wanting praise, not wanting to be blamed, wanting to gain, not wanting to lose, wanting to be have some standing, recognize me, not wanting to be overlooked and ignored or vilified. No, the world just runs on those energies, which leads just to more problems and more conflict and more pain. It's just figuring out, who do you want to be friends with? How do you want to be friends with somebody? How do you want to do this? Who do you want to associate with? What do you want to associate with? What do you want to give attention to? Giving care to these things so that you figure out what the energy that you do generate, where do you spend it? That's the sort of question, isn't it? Because you see a 15-year-old or 16-year-old, they got so much energy of potential bouncing around, endless for a while, and then they collapse. But what do they? I just I saw a 15-year-old today, and I thought, wow, that's like that. And then there's this sense of, well, as you maybe can remember when you were 15 years old or 16 years old, as I can, a sense of, well, what the heck am I supposed to do with my life? What am I supposed to do with all of this? And through life, as you get older, you get the energy of potential disappears. There's less and less things that are possible. You get other energy, the energy of maybe experience, so you know how to not waste energy. Or you get maybe the energy of skill, or maybe you have the energy of money and some power, and figuring out what that to do, and then how to share it, who to share it with, who to be friends with. Figure out what a good friend is. Somebody who actually puts effort in what they give to you, and does what's hard to do to support you, and puts up with you when you blow it, and does things that are hard to do for you, and who keeps your secrets and tells you theirs, and doesn't abandon you when things go wrong. Reflect on what a good friend is, and then be a good friend to yourself, because you're the one you have to live with. And that can really help, because you do wish yourself well. Life wishes itself well. And humans have the capacity to allow that to be really conscious. And that karma creation that humans do can be karma created in awareness. Animals and things have much less capacity for that. Animals have much less capacity for reflection. They have great capacity for reaction, and they do have some intention. They do have intention. Life has intention. Life is about intention, really. But because it's intention in terms of receiving. It receives impulses. It responds to those impulses, and that's what life really is: receiving and responding. At its basic level. Now, humans, this little thing here, with all of it, what that means, has a incredible capacity for reflection in this. So the intentions can be informed with wisdom, with reflection. What actually is happening here? And this requires confidence, and it requires humility. Humility first to receive things as they are, and the confidence to put effort into doing something. These are spiritual faculties. And then sustaining that effort with mindfulness. As the spiritual faculties can work. This is the cultivation that we can do. So do it. You know, find your good friendship. Find your friendship that with a sense of actually liking yourself and respecting yourself, giving yourself a sense of be happy that you're actually interested. You know, give yourself some credit, a pat on the back, so that you're not always putting yourself down, but do keep an eye on what's happening. And if you do fall into things that you know are stupid, then give yourself a telling off too, but accept it. So you're not just patting yourself on your back without uncritically, but look at it in a profound way, and look, as deeply as you can in this, and don't ever encourage yourself to do something that you know is going to be really unskillful. That's it. Don't fall into that. So be a good friend. There are, suttas on this, and it's worth reflecting on. But be a good friend to yourself and be a good friend to others. Do the best you can, and allow the monastery in the heart to generate generosity, virtue, and cultivation of the spiritual qualities that are there to be cultivated, faculties that are to be cultivated, so that they can actually become powers. Powers of Saddha. They're transformed. The Indriya are transformed into bala, transformed into powers. The five Indriya, the five faculties, are transformed into powers when they really get going. So generate the power as a generosity, as a generator. This is what the monasteries are for. So for that, for your encouragement today, I hope that helps a bit. And if you have questions, please give them. And I apologize if I've muddled you in any way or misrepresented the scriptures or misrepresented things. Thank you for listening. So you can use the chat function if you have it to figure out if you have questions, and if you don't, never mind. Never mind. Oh, okay. I wonder who's scrolled to the top. Oh, Suzuki. Thank you. Here are some questions. Thank you. Yeah, they're all empty illusions. It's hard for me to relate to why the Buddha compared sanya, sankara, and vijnana to mirage, plantain tree, and conjuring tricks. These three things all means empty illusions. They all are empty illusions. They were separately used because you've got 5 khandhas, 5 heaps. So you can't separate the 5 heaps, actually. You can't separate the color of something. You can't have a color without having some sort of separation from something else. And an apple has a taste, a color, and a weight, and a shape, and a texture. Those are 5 ways that you can describe an apple, but you can't separate them one from the other. You can't have the color without the rest of it, the texture without the rest of it. And similarly, anything that stands forth, anything that's separate, has the 5 khandhas. Is made up and can be described as in the 5 khandhas. And these are ways of pointing out the illusion of them, the fact that things only stand up because there is time and space. They make time and space in some ways, and time and space are only present because of consciousness. When I finally have samadhi, I'll know it, right? I never know if I have samadhi. That probably means I've never had it. No, it probably means you've not noticed it. It's not. You've read the books now. What you don't know about jhana and samadhi, and you have been absorbed in things. I'm sure there have been things that you've been absorbed in, even if they're Korean dramas, or books or films or something like that. You can absorb into things and not know stuff. That's a type of samadhi. It's not necessarily Samma samadhi. It's not necessarily liberated samadhi, but it's absorption, because you get absorbed into something and you don't notice anything else. That's the nature of absorption. What is Samma samadhi is more about absorbing into consciousness. It's sustaining it. Sustaining sati. Samma sati, samma samadhi is in that order because of that. It's the sati sustained, absorbing into samma sati. When I feel more stressed from work and family, I could not wholeheartedly devote to practice of Dhamma. Then I see my practice is neglected. I feel bad. It's a vicious circle, and I wonder how to break my vicious circle. Yeah, that's where friendship helps. Good friendship associating with things that can remind you. Coming back to the present moment. Delights, this is a problem. Yeah, what should I do? Notice the danger of things. The delight is the bait. Things have origin, properties, attraction or bait, danger, and escape. So if you don't notice the danger, you're not likely to give something up. And that's the long and short of it. No, that's the way that it works. Yeah, with thoughts and investing, once said that being wealthy is not necessarily a blessing. It depends on how one uses it. Not having any money at all or any support at all is confusing, because you then get stuck without having any sort of support at all. There can be a lot of fear. So I'm not recommending abject poverty to people, because that's frightening. With too much, people respond differently to being wealthy. It's not necessarily a blessing. It's what you do with the wealth that's a blessing or not for yourself and others. It's not being alive is a blessing, because there's the possibility of liberation. That's a real blessing. Investigation and reflection is something I've been working with, especially with challenging feelings or thoughts arising, investing to see how it arose and what the effect was. Yeah, with investigating thoughts or feelings or stuff, Notice the edges of things sometimes. That's one way of putting it in perspective. And then, yes, try to follow the what triggered the particular thoughts or feeling. What triggered it? What before this? What before that? What before that? It's sometimes a good exercise to do. Sometimes there was an exercise that used to be recommended. Sometimes is at the end of a day, just review all the way back through the day to the beginning of the day. What happened? What happened? It's a bit like what I suggested at the end of the 15 minutes or so of meditation, just giving a few minutes just to know what happened. You're not trying to, what you do when you do this is you're not trying to control it. You're not trying to judge it so much. It's more like run it by you. So you're not trying to, as I was saying about good friendship, you're not trying to say this shouldn't have happened. No, it's not that. It's more, oh, that happened. That happened. Ah. And it's resting. What you're doing there is you're taking refuge in the Buddha. Yeah, because you're taking refuge in the knowing and the wish to learn from it. And yeah, if something really bad happens, you can't, oh, that was a mistake. And certainly, you say something to something out of too quickly or too bluntly, and then I should have learned from that. And then you go and just saying, well, let's learn from this. Let's just learn from this. And then go on. Yeah? And you can go all the way through the day like that, actually. As you rest. If you do that, also rest in a sense of gratitude for all the help that you've ever received in your life. It's a sensible thing to do. Then share the blessings with all the beings that have benefited you and all the beings that have suffered as a result of your life, all the people that you may have harmed, all the beings you may have harmed. As a way of reviewing at the end of the day, it's you can give some time to that. It's not a wrong thing to do. But practice it in a way so that it doesn't actually stir up more. I sometimes hear people saying something, and I realize that when they're saying it, they're actually re-traumatizing themselves. That's a mistake that can be made. Don't re-traumatize yourself just by going over the same thing again, the same thing again. It starts to get a habit that happens. That re-traumatizing is not skillful. Your intention is to suffer less now and in the future. That's what you do when you really bless yourself. You suffer less now and in the future. And what you really wish yourself is all the blessings, and you wish a sense of happiness independent of conditions. Because that's the highest happiness. I hope that helps. Oh dear. Oh dear. Opinions and views. Hinayana was a phrase that was actually used by some groups. It's an insult. Actually, hina means low. It's an insult. And yeah. And that's why the word Theravada was started to be used. Because that's like to sort of say, well, actually, we're the elders, we're the old ones, we're the pure, we're the original. And you lot are just a load of distortions. Because you never really got back to the real source of it all. That's the Hinayana, Mahayana, Northern, Southern School argument, Theravada, Mahayana. It's all a waste of time, honestly. Honestly. You know, the way that I sometimes used to talk about it years ago, you'd like to help yourself. I really want to get enlightened for myself. And then you realize, well, you actually have to be with other people. So you might as well do your best you can with other people, because that really helps yourself. And okay, that's the sort of selfish to unselfish. The unselfish to selfish is, I really want to help all beings. I won't bother with my own enlightenment. I'll help all other beings. And then you realize that you're screwing up because you don't understand what's going on within yourself. So you better get yourself together before you help other beings. It's just a way of talking. But the actual terms were first Council of Faith, I think in Chicago, Hinayana, Mahayana was brought up. It was a marketing ploy by the Mahayana. And then subsequently to that, after independence, Sri Lanka stressed the Theravada business. So that's a short history lesson. There's a book called How Theravada is Theravada, which goes into this in quite a lot of good detail, which is quite good. And then there are other books. There's another book called Buddhist Religions, which I also recommend to people who really want to spend a lot of money on books. Both books are probably over 50 euros each, as they're university books. They are expensive. So, but they're long and they're informative. I think How Theravada is not so expensive, and it's got pictures. But Buddhist Religions does not have pictures. It's just dense university-style text. Does the postal system work? Do DHL deliver packets of merit? So, on Sunday, the local Tibetan Buddhist center is giving a big puja for the deceased. Is this kind of puja really helpful for helping the deceased? The way that this is supposed to work, somebody said, is that if a being is in trouble and somehow they learn that somebody is doing something and dedicating blessings for them, that knowledge brings up mudita, or joy, that somebody's thinking of me. And that's a nice thing. Somebody loves me. Somebody's thinking of me. And that joy lifts them up. It's not the merit themselves that lifts it up. It's the fact that they experience joy, and that lifts them out of the hell realms. So that's the way the mechanism works. It's not a direct. That's why you don't lose any merit when you share merit. Because you don't actually lose any merit. It's not like sharing your sweeties or a slice of cake from a big cake. Can they get merits? No, they don't get merits. They rejoice in merits. There you go. Something about friendship. And the next sutta, that's a lift for everybody, a link for everybody, from Sutta Central, which is a good resource.